Hi guys, Redheaded Crafter here. My name is Ashley and thank you for stopping by. I am so excited you're here. I've got 5 farmhouse style DIYs for you, mostly Dollar Tree things. If that's something you're interested in, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. You guys, I am really trying hard to grow. I'm going to be hosting a few giveaways here soon, so you don't want to miss out. I am inspiring the world one DIY at a time. Leave in the comments below some ideas of what we can call our YouTube family. I would love to get your input on that. And anyways, with all that being said, let's get to crafting. Okay, today in our first project, we will be taking these wood stakes and put them about a ½ inch apart. And I got these at Hobby Lobby in the wood pile section. They come 3 in a pack. And I took the hot glue and a paint stir stick and hot glued 2 of those on the back. The placement is really up to you. We are making a fence out of these. Obviously, now you can tell. I hope you can tell. Then we turn that over, and I'm going to use some Waverley white chalk paint to do a couple of coats, just painting in the same direction. So after I get the fence pieces, I'm going to use this smaller brush to get inside those cracks to paint the my son. Look at my son. This is my 16-year-old, guys. His name's Colin, and he's so silly. I love him to pieces. Anyways, next I sanded each piece and then stained the home sign that I got from Dollar Tree with the antique Waverley wax. I paint it on and then wipe it off with just a paper towel. Then I took some Jenga blocks and stained those as well. And I didn't stain the back because that's the part I'm going to glue. So I just took some E6000 and placed it, a few beads of it. And then in between those beads, I was out of frame, sorry, but I add hot glue to get that instant hold and long-term hold. Next, I'm adding the Jenga blocks to the back of that sign the same way with the E6000 and hot glue. Do not mix them because then that will deactivate the glue. I glue those Jenga blocks right up against the back of that sign to secure the fence post to the home sign, and then I add another couple of Jenga blocks to the back of that home sign on the bottom to help it stand up. You can see how I'm doing this. After that, I work on this wreath from Target Dollar Spot. I took a pick from Walmart, the boxwood, and I just wanted to add another type of greenery in there, and then add a dot of hot glue and to use a leaf to camouflage how you're gluing those leaves, that boxwood in. Just mix it up. You can see how I'm doing it. I'm having a hard time explaining it, but I just used a leaf there and hold it in place until it dries. And it just makes the wreath look a little fuller and more high-end. Next, just take that craft stick, cut it down, and cover it in some scrapbook paper. Then use your glue stick and cover your scrapbook paper and your craft stick. Then put that scrapbook paper onto the craft stick, add your Mod Podge, and then let that dry. After that, you can add your word. I used a wooden word that I got from Hobby Lobby in a pack. It was broken, but I just used hot glue and glued it right on there. After I glued that on there, I did take some Waverley antique wax and stain the word, but I'm a little out of frame when I show you, so there's my hair. I sand it down to get a worn look and to get any extra paper off. And here's where I stained it. Then I put a couple of Jenga block pieces on there and glued that right into my wreath. Add a Jenga block to the middle 2 fence post pieces and add a hook. I got that at DollarTree as well. Tie your wreath up and then just hook it onto that hook and it will hang nicely in the middle of your fence post. This is how it turns out, guys, and I hope you like it as much as I do. Okay, our next project, we are going to make a little dishwasher clean, dirty thing that you can hang on your dishwasher. I just took 2 chalkboards from Dollar Tree, painted them white with a couple coats of antique Waverley wax, put a frame around it with some Jenga blocks, and sandwiched both of those pieces together. After that, I used some Waverley wax to distress it and paint my C and D, and distressed my beads as well, all with the antique Waverley wax. After I paint the C and the D, I did hot glue that down to each side of the sign, I guess you could call it. Then I took these rub-on transfers and decorated the little plaque. Now, I did lose some footage of me stringing those beads on a Chanel stem and then hot gluing it almost like a purse on the inside right there. And this is how it turns out. And you can see how I glued it on each side. The next project, we're going to make a beaded garland. I just took this Ocean by Waverley and mixed it up with some antique Waverley wax because I wanted to dull the color down some. I done the same thing with the crimson color chalk paint. Just add a little bit of water, a little bit of antique wax, and whatever color you're trying to dull down. Then mix it up really good. Here you can see me do the red color. And then after I get those paints mixed up, I take 6 beads, put them in a bag, pour a little bit of paint. I mean, just a very little bit, not much at all, just a little bit. You can see, watch, a little bit of paint. Then you're going to just mix it all up and rub that paint all over them beads and pour them out and let them dry. And that's all there is to it. Here's where I done the white, just a little bit of white paint, a little bit of water. I mean, a dot of water, guys. And then pour them beads out and they're perfect. Now, here we are taking that plaque and tracing it out onto our scrapbook paper. I done that for both kinds of scrapbook paper. Cut them out to size. And then we're going to do the same thing with the glue stick and glue those pieces of scrapbook paper on that plaque. After that, you're going to take and drill a hole right in the middle so you can add your jute twine through there. Then add a layer of Mod Podge to protect everything and keep that scrapbook paper down. Make sure you add your Mod Podge on both sides, obviously. After that, I take some Waverley antique wax and add that to the side to make it look a little old and worn. And don't forget to distress the edges as well. And then we're going to take some jute, string it through the plaque, put a piece of tape on, and then string our beads in the order of red, white, and blue. Then I will make a tassel by wrapping that jute around a package, tying it off with another piece of jute at the top. Then cut your jute, trim up the ends. But I decided that I wanted to add this ribbon to match my garland that I got from Hobby Lobby for $1. So I antiqued it with the wax I had left on my brush, tied it in there with a piece of jute a couple of times. You know, I tied a knot a couple of times around it, then trimmed it up at the bottom. Then cut it off at the top, tied a knot around it, and this is how it turned out. I love it. I think this is one of my favorite beaded garlands I've ever made. Seriously, I just love how this is so rustic, and I'm pretty sure that this would look good, you know, even after the 4th. So here is how it turned out. I love it, and I hope you guys like it too. The next project, I'm going to take this plant stand or stool and do a couple of coats of the Waverley white chalk paint. The key to this is doing thin coats and letting them dry in between. Chalk paint is really forgiving, so it's easy to paint with. I painted everything, even the metal pieces on the bottom. Once it was dry, I measured in the middle. I measured 4 inches on each side. There was a crack there, so that's where I wanted my ticking stripe to be. So once you measure 4 inches on one side, place a piece of tape. Then take your ruler on the other side and measure 4 inches in and place another piece of tape. So you got 4 inches on each side. Place a piece of tape on each side of that middle piece of tape. It's like this. And then you're going to pull up that middle piece of tape, and that's where your paint will go. I'm going to take Celery from Waverley chalk paint and do about 3 or 4 coats of this. Do thin, even coats with this paint, and we're going to use the heat gun to help the drying process in between. Now, here's what it looks like after, I think, 3 or 4 coats. I think it's 4. Here's the paint reveal. Oh my goodness. This painter's tape is from the DollarTree, and I'm telling you, it works just as good. Next, place another piece of tape down to place your other stripe. You can see how I do it here. Oh, amazing. See, I'm measuring where I want the stripe to go, and I'm placing my tape down where I don't want my paint to go. After the 3 or 4 coats and it's dry, you peel it up, and here's what it looks like. I'm sanding it with my little finger sander and my sanding sponge from the DollarTree to distress it and make it look nice and worn. Antique. We want it to look antique. We work so hard to make it look old and weathered. And here's how it turns out. I loved it. I think this is one of my favorites I've ever done. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Our next project, we will be taking a piece of scrap wood and doing 3 coats of this cashew color from Waverley. I use my heat gun to dry in between the coats of paint, and then I take a DollarTree decal, some transfer tape, and start adding my decal. Now, I only had to use transfer tape on these words because they were all separate and I wanted them to go on nice and straight. After that, I took the other piece of the decal and used my Cricut scraper tool to get it on without any air bubbles. It's pretty easy to do. Then I added some Mod Podge on top of that decal and took and measured 5 inches in on each side, drilled a hole, sanded it down, made it look nice and distressed. Then I open up that clamp on the plant hanger from Dollar Tree and put it in each hole, and this is how it turned out. I loved it. I absolutely loved it, and I hope you guys like it too. Alright, here's a recap of everything we done today, and I appreciate you guys for being here. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like button, share, all that good stuff. And I hope you guys leave here feeling inspired and have a great day. Bye.